Hello everyone, how are you all today? This is Ch3 from Ch3 Educational Group Kota, and today we'll be learning chapter number 3 of Civics of class 6th. The name of the chapter is What is Government? Okay, please open your books in front of you on page number 27 and keep your pencils ready in your hand so that you may underline what I'm telling you. Okay, now let us begin. See, in this chapter we'll be learning these topics. Let us go through these topics once. We'll learn what is government, government क्या होती है, then the levels of government, laws and the government, what does the government do, what laws do they make, then types of government, the different types of government, we'll be discussing those, and then in the end we'll be learning about the democratic government. Okay, so these are the topics that we'll be covering in this chapter. I hope you are all ready to learn this chapter now. Now our first topic, what is government? Okay, it's a question, what is government? So let us find out the answer. Now underline this. Government is the group of people with the authority to govern a country or a state. Government क्या है? लोगों का एक group है. What do? They have the power to govern a country, to rule over a country or a state. Now, every country needs a government to make decisions about where to build roads and schools or how to reduce the price of onions. Now, in every country there needs to be an authority, a group who can take decisions on the behalf of the people, okay? Because not everyone can take decisions, okay? So it does other important things as well, such as running postal services and railway services, okay? So up until now we have learned that what is government? It is a group of people who have the power to rule over a country or a state. And what are the various things they do? They build roads, they decide where to build road, where to build school, when should we reduce the price of onions and other articles. Okay, I hope it's all clear to you. Moving on, it makes decisions and get things done. Government, what do? They make decisions on topics and they see what needs to be done for the country. The government also takes actions on many social issues. Social issues means issues related to society like inequality, discrimination. We all learned these topics in our earlier chapter. So the government also solves these problems as well. Now, this is very important, so please underline this line. It protects the boundaries of a country, means for example India, right? We live in India. So the Indian boundary है, उसको protect कौन करता है? The government, and maintains peaceful relationships with other countries. The countries with the other countries, it also maintains peaceful relations with them. It is responsible, the government is responsible for ensuring that all citizens have enough to eat and have good health facilities. The government also takes care that all the people, all the citizens who are living in the country, they are well fed and the country has good health facilities so that the people can also recover from any illness. Okay? Now, it is the government that mainly organizes aid and assistance for the affected people during tsunami and earthquake. Children, you may have seen in the news whenever there is tsunami or flood, right? Government sends army there, they send food packets there, right? Why? To add and assistance for the affected people. So the people who are affected by the tragedy can recover, okay? Also, if there is a dispute means fight, or if someone has committed a crime, then they are punished by the courts, which are also a part of the government. Supreme Court, High Courts and other district courts as well. If someone commits a crime or if there is a fight or something, who solves it? The courts, and the courts are also a part of the government. Okay, so up until now we have learned what is government and what decisions do they make. Okay, moving on. Now, work of the government. Now we ask ourselves a question. Okay, what is the question? Why does the government do all this? इतने सारे decisions हैं, it is aiding other people, giving assistance. Why? Why does the government do all this? It does so because it is necessary. Human beings live and work together, and there needs to be an organized way to do things and take decisions. जो human beings हैं, they live together in a society and they live so in a very organized way. I'll give you an example of your school. In your school, everyone has a designated duty. Your teachers and other coordinated members, they have a very specific duty which they need to perform. Similar is the way of the government. Every minister is designated and they have a specific set of duty which they perform. Now, rules have to be made that apply to everyone, and whatever rules and laws the government make, they apply to themselves as well. Government do this on behalf of their people by exercising leadership. Okay, underline this entire line in your book. taking decisions and implementing these among all the people living in their territory. So what does the government do? They make laws, वो laws बनाती हैं और ताकि decisions लेती हैं और उनको implement करती हैं पूरे country में उन लोगों के ऊपर जो उस country में रह रहे हैं. I hope it's all very clear to you. Children, now let's learn about the levels of government. Means there are different levels of government in which they work. Let us learn. Now, the government works at different levels. जो government है वो अलग-अलग levels पे work करता है. At the local level, we have governments in village, towns and localities. Your panchayat raj, panchayat samiti, right? At the state level, we have governments that cover an entire state like Rajasthan or Uttar Pradesh. Means the different states have different state governments, okay? And different people look after them. Then at the national level, we have the government for the entire nation. Means the national level government takes care of the entire nation, okay? I'll explain it to you by this chart. See, the national government is called the union government or the central government, and it takes decisions on behalf of the entire nation, okay? Then we have state governments. For example, different states have different governments, Rajasthan government, Bihar government or Maharashtra government. Then local government. Local government is divided into two parts. See, panchayat for the local villages and towns, and municipalities we have cities. In panchayat there is district panchayat, intermediate panchayat and village panchayat. And in municipality we have municipal corporation, municipal council and nagar panchayat. We'll be learning about these two in detail in our next chapters, okay? Now, here is a picture of Mr. Narendra Modi. He is the Prime Minister of our India. Also, he is the central authority figure of the central governments. Means the national government that we have, which takes care of the entire nation. Our PM, Mr. Narendra Modi, is the head of that government, okay? Now, our next topic is laws and the government. What laws do they make and who has to follow them? Let us learn. The government makes laws and everyone who lives in the country has to follow. So if the government is making some laws, okay, government agar koi law bana rahi hai, then everyone who is living in the country has to follow them. Just like the government has the power to make decisions, similarly it has the power to enforce its decision. They make laws and then they enforce it. Means it forces the citizens to follow that law. How so? I'll give you an example. See, a law says, supposedly, government has made a law which says that all persons driving a motor vehicle must have a driving license, okay? There is a law which says that anyone who is driving a motor vehicle must have a driving license with them. But if they don't have it, any person caught driving a vehicle without a license, if someone is caught who is driving a motor vehicle but he doesn't have a license, he can either be jailed or fined a large sum of money. So you see, the government makes all these laws and they can punish people who don't follow them. I hope it's clear. Next, there are also steps that people can take if they feel that a particular law is not being followed. For example, you are living in a society, okay? If you feel that a particular law is not being followed, then you can report it to the authorities, to the police stations. For example, if a person feels that they were not hired for a job, okay? If supposedly a person gives application for a job but he is not hired because of their religion or caste, then he or she may approach the courts and claim that the law is not being followed. I explained in your earlier chapter that everyone in India is treated equally regardless of their color, caste, religion and gender, right? So if someone feels that because of their religion or caste they were not hired for a job, they can go to the courts and claim that the law is not being followed. And what will the courts do? The courts can then give orders about what should be done, right? The court है वो order दे सकता है कि अब आगे क्या procedure होगा. Why? Because the courts is also a part of the government. Now, types of the government. Government भी अलग-अलग types की होती हैं. Let us learn about them. See, there are different types of government, but in this chapter we'll be learning only about two of them, which is monarchy and democracy, okay? Let us discuss monarchy first. Monarchy is a form of government in which the king or queen, also called the monarch, has the power to make decisions and run the government. Underline this line in that paragraph, that monarchy कौन सी government होती है जिसमें head कौन होता है, king or queen, and they have the power to make decision and run the entire government. The monarch usually has a small group of people to discuss matters with, but the final decision making powers remains with the monarch. जो king होता है, you have seen in some TV series or in your old tales, right? The king has a great court in which a lot of people sit and he take advices from all of them, right? But in the end, who makes the final decision? Only the king. And when the monarch dies, their son take their place. Supposedly a king dies, then who will become the next king? His son, the prince. Okay, this is how a monarchy functions. Means the absolute power, सारी power किसके पास होती है? King और queen के पास. And whatever decision they want to make, they don't have to answer to anybody. But it is not the same in democracy. Now let us learn about it. In a democratic government, it is the people who give the government power to rule. Underline this. This is the major difference between monarchy and democracy, that in a democratic government, the people give the power to the government. How so? They do this through election. कैसे power मिलती है government को? When elections happens. What in election? They vote for particular persons and elect them. Usually you must have also noticed that during election your parents must vote for someone, right? And then whichever party wins, they form the government. Once elected, these people form the government. और एक बार अगर election में आप जीत जाते हो, then you form the government for a set period of time. And then what happened after that time? Another elections. In a democracy, the government has to explain its action and defend its decision to the people. मान लो that government has made a certain law which is not accepted by the people. Then the people can raise their voice, they can take out rallies and strikes in opposition to the government, and then the government have to take back their law. But it cannot be done in a monarchy. So the democracy is a very good form of government. Now our next topic is democratic government. Now children, our country India is a democracy, means the government that we have is a democratic form of government. It means democracy is a rule by people. Who is ruling? The people. It means that people have the power to elect their rulers. As I have already explained to you, in a democratic country, the people means the citizens have the power to elect their rulers. Now pay very close attention here. The basic idea is that people rule themselves by participating in the making of these rules. How so? In a democracy, people do not participate directly. Means the entire population does not participate. But what they do? But instead they choose their leaders through an election process. Means an election process happens and then they choose their leaders. Those elected representatives meet and make decisions for the entire population. और जो लोग election में जीतते हैं, the elected representatives, they meet and make decisions for the entire population. They form the government, वो government form करते हैं और पूरे देश भर के लिए decisions लेते हैं, laws बनाते हैं. Now here is another important topic that you must learn. It is called universal adult franchisee. Now let us discuss this. These days, a government cannot call itself democratic unless it allows what is known as universal adult franchise. The definition is here, underline this in your books. Universal adult franchisee means that all adults in the country, adult here means 18 or above 18 years of age, in the country are allowed to vote regardless of their color, caste, religion or gender. Means every citizen of the country, if they are of the age of 18 or above the age of 18, will have the right to vote. Their color, caste, religion or gender will not be a thing that will stop them from voting. But it was not always like this. Okay, अभी तो हम ये जानते हैं that everyone can vote, but earlier there was a time when women, the uneducated and poor people were not allowed to vote. So they raised their voices. There was a revolution, or a lot of revolution, in which women, uneducated and poor people came together and they demanded equal rights, and then only equality was maintained in the society. Okay children, I hope you all learned this lesson well. I hope I was able to clear all your doubts. Now if you have any further doubts regarding this chapter, we will discuss it in our live doubt class. Thank you so much. Stay safe.